Hello, and welcome to episode 32 of Mishmash Mayhem.
Mishmash Mayhem.
The podcast where we take the schoolyard conversation of, hey, which one of these fictional characters would win in a fight? And we talk about it on a podcast.
Welcome to our podcast.
We're glad you came.
Ugh.
Somebody get some tissues.
I mean, or I'm not suggesting you use this. Bleach.
Bleach?
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say dust fan and brush.
What? No. How would that work?
So I'm Chris.
And I'm Wade.
And together we are doing this podcast.
You seem so lost.
I didn't want to, for a third episode, say, and together we did evolve to make Omni-Mon.
Did we do that 3 times in a row?
I don't think it's been in a row, but you have already done it twice before.
Well, it's a great joke. So, for those of you who've been there before, you know the drill. It's a hand tool. I mean, I was going to make a power tool joke, and then you've kind of also ruined it.
I made a pneumatic joke.
Yeah, you did. What we're going to do is we're going to bring two of the nation's, the world's, people's in general, favourite fictional characters, and we're going to bring them together and put them in a fight to the death / disqualification / other, and see which one would win. Last week we had Doctor Strange, he's a strange man, versus Captain Falcon, who is also a very strange man, after having researched him. And they fought in a hot air balloon, and Doctor Strange was the victor, so he comes on today to be this week's reigning champion with his Mish. For those competitors who earn their Mish, their Mash and their Mayhem by winning 3 successive fights, they earn themselves a place in the Hall of Fame.
Whee.
Where currently 6 other people reside?
Yes.
Currently 6 other people reside. And once we have probably 8 Hall of Famers, there'll be some kind of Hall of Fame tournament. But that's for later. So, there will be a new challenger approaching this week, coming from myself. But tradition dictates that we will introduce the characters starting with the reigning champion. And what we're going to do is we're going to go through a little bit of their backstory, their abilities, what kind of equipment, arms and armour they may be coming with, besides their own 2 arms, unless there's someone who has more than 2 arms or less than 2 arms. Sure, we're going to tell you what arms, how many arms they have, what their favourite Pokemon is, because we've been talking about Pokemon a lot, me and Chris, not like in general. And then we're going to find out where they're going to fight. And there's only one way to do that. I mean, there's lots of ways to do that, but there's only one way that we know how. Got to roll the
Die of Death.
The Die of Death. To roll the Die of Death to determine the destination of
You should have
destruction.
had the destination. Sorry, just interrupting quickly. The thing, going back to what you said at the beginning of your explanation, it really is going to be the world, like the other people's favourite characters, because both our characters the fans suggested today.
They are. I mean, my one has been on the list of characters for yonks.
Yonks. Yes,
But that's how random works, and I apologise whoever suggested this person. They have been here, and now they've come up. So, be happy. Or be sad, depending on the situation. Because they're either going to win or they're going to die. Anyway, so yeah. Without further ado, starting with the reigning champion, hailing from the CK corner. The corner.
Corner.
Corner. Can you imagine, like, Mullica corners? What flavour would they be? Crab.
So I feel like Doctor Strange's first favourite Pokemon would be Mewtwo,
I can totally believe that.
because Doctor Stephen
Or
Strange...
Alakazam.
No. This is what it would be, Mewtwo. Because, well, at least at the start of his story, it'd be Mewtwo. It might change it. No, wait, it would definitely be Mewtwo, because they have the same character arc. Doctor Stephen Strange starts off as an arrogant prick who thinks he's better than everyone else. Because he's arrogant, he'd only accept the original gen Pokemon, and he'd want the most powerful, and he'd want the most powerful of them all. So, because he's the best, so he'd have Mewtwo, right? Mewtwo, like him, also starts off as an arrogant prick who thinks he's better than everyone else.
I mean, to be fair, that's mostly through a product of how he was brought up.
That is maybe. And then, both of them, by the end of their character arc, have become a lot more humbled and realised that they should appreciate other people for who they are.
There you go.
I'm just saying, Doctor Strange and Mewtwo are the same character. at me. But yeah, anyway, Stephen Strange is an arrogant man who thinks he's better than everyone else, as I just said. He is a highly qualified and well sought after brain surgeon, which, you know, I suppose explains some of his arrogance, the fact that he's considered one of the best people at one of the hardest jobs.
Can you imagine if all brain surgeons were super arrogant? Like, oh, what did you do today, honey? Oh, I cleaned the oven. I saved 13 people's lives.
I don't know.
Brain surgeons don't do 13 surgeries in a day.
I'd be surprised if they do 2, to be honest with you. But I imagine, like, not in a bad way necessarily, but I imagine there's a reasonable amount of arrogance in most people with very highly qualified jobs, because you have to have a lot of sort of self-confidence and stuff to be able to get to those jobs.
I imagine that probably the private ones are more likely to be arrogant than the
possibly. But anyway, that is neither here nor there. Point is, he was quite an arrogant dick. Then he was in a car crash and suffered severe nerve damage to his hands, meaning he couldn't really use them properly, which for a surgeon is quite a bad thing.
Man, if only he knew a brain surgeon who could sort that out.
But it wasn't a problem with his brain necessarily. It was his hands. He then travelled around the world looking for all different types of cures and healing and the such, to see if he could find anybody who could fix his hands, but nobody could. He met the Sorcerer Supreme, the Ancient One, who trained him and sort of like taught him meditation and how to sort of be more in tune with the world, and this led to him developing magical powers and becoming his own source and becoming a sorcerer himself, many magics and the such. So, you know, he didn't go back to being a surgeon after gaining magical powers and regaining the use of his hands. He instead trained as a sorcerer, and upon the Ancient One's death he was sort of given the role of Sorcerer Supreme, as he was excellent at being a sorcerer, and his job is to defend the Earth. So that's kind of a backstory to Doctor Strange, but what you guys want to know is, what can he do in a fight? And let me tell you, he is well trained in judo as a martial artist, so he has powerful martial arts skills and is able to sort of be practical and counter his opponent and use their attacks against them, because that is a very good way of fighting. He is also trained with both swords and axes, which he has the ability to conjure out of nothing with his magical powers, which, you know, is pretty damn cool.
Magical powers!
He also has the Book of Vishanti, which is the greatest collection of white magical spells in the entire universe, and its counterpart is the Dark Cold, which is the greatest knowledge of all black magic in the universe. So, you know, but he has the white magic version because he is a good guy. So it contains loads of sort of magical counter spells and healing spells and that sort of thing that he has been learning from. He also has the Cloak of Levitation, which allows him to fly while he's wearing. But not only that, it's also really stylish.
If you want to be able to fly, you also want to be stylish.
Yeah, exactly. Nobody wants you to be like, oh my god, look, it's somebody flying, has some oh, but man, he looks like a dork.
Look at those socks and sandals, man.
Oh, who goes flying in socks and sandals?
The geologist.
Although, to be fair, if The Incredibles is to be understood, you don't want to go flying with a cape because you'll get sucked into a plane.
I fully believe that, you know? Like, it's a very reasonable thing. I mean, quite a lot of people died in that film by being sucked through planes.
I think only one person died. A lot of people died because of cape-related injury.
Yeah, but I mean, but there was like that montage of superheroes who got sucked in through, killed by their capes.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Only one of them was killed by a plane. I think there were...
Well, yeah, but they were all killed because of their capes.
Yes, yeah, that's what I said. I mean, I suppose if he had been sucked in for a plane and the engine would then explode, then it would probably kill all the people on said plane as well.
I am unsure how likely an engine would... I mean, I'm not an expert on planes. If it was like a stand propeller, you know, the person's going to have a problem but the plane isn't going to have too much of a problem.
Yeah, I know.
If it's
They make sure planes can be alright if a bird flies into it, can't they? Because they fire chickens into them.
Well, yes,
to test them.
The birds are. I don't know if you've ever compared the bone of, say, someone's pelvis to that of the thickest bone of a bird, which is probably the sternum.
I understand a human is harder to mince than a bird. I get that, especially as birds' bones are hollow.
My thought would be propeller planes, probably okay. Jet engines, probably a disaster.
Yeah. Anyway, he's got a flying cape. That's what we're getting at. He has the Orb of Agamotto. This orb allows him to use scrying magic to detect magic anywhere on the world. And it provides him with a location and a visual of said magic being used. He can also use it to make shields which protect planets.
Protect planets from what?
Magic, I guess. Bad magic.
Bad planet-sized magic.
He also has the Eye of Agamotto, which allows him to see through like magical illusions and disguises. It also weakens evil mystical beings such as demons, devils and undead, and dark extra-dimensional entities, and even humans who have been corrupted by using the dark arts.
Well,
that's it.
Don't go painting with dark colours.
No. You can also use it to probe others' minds, so sort of like read their thoughts, or in some cases he has also used it to trap people in suspended animation within their brain, which is, pretty cool. He can also use it to create portals to other dimensions, which for people who were about last week will remember that was sort of how he beat Captain Falcon. And conveniently, this brings his costume together, because he uses the Eye of Agamotto as his clasp to tie his cloak around his neck.
Oh, what would he do if he didn't have that?
I guess he'd have a normal but
No, he wouldn't. He just wouldn't be able to wear the cloak.
I'm just saying, I think he's been able to accessorize well with magical items.
Imagine though, if someone steals that, like in the fight,
yeah,
then he loses 2 of his artifacts in one go.
It's true, but I imagine it's unlikely people would try and steal his cloak, because I suppose unless you knew already, if you were just to be fighting him, you'd probably be like, well, this guy can fly. You wouldn't be like, oh, he's got a flying cloak.
Yeah, you wouldn't care about the clasp. No one cared who I was till I put on the clasp. That's a Bane joke.
Right. So that's Doctor Strange. That's kind of his deal, what he does, as he says. To sum up, he is Mewtwo.
Lovely, lovely beans. Right, and that means it's time for me to remember my clue, which I almost do. So, hooray. Last time I gave you the clue that this... Did I mention they're from a comic book? I don't know, they are. That this comic book character shared its name with an alcoholic beverage.
With a cider, to be precise.
Yes, we couldn't remember whether it was a beer or a cider, but we decided it was the cider.
It was because I got confused over which character you were actually doing.
I see.
And there is a beer named after a very similar character.
Is it just a different colour?
Kind of, yeah.
But anyway, yes, for those of you who like cider, especially Thatcher's, and know comic books, you will of course recognise this as Thatcher's Gold. No, as the Green Goblin.
Yeah, I'd remembered it wrong, and I thought the fan suggestion was Hobgoblin, which is a beer.
Which is a beer, yes. Hobgoblin the beer, Green Goblin the cider. Green Goblin's actually very nice. So, yes, Green Goblin. The Green Goblin is also known... now, I mean, I'm aware apparently he's had a couple of iterations, but I am just going through the one that I mostly know, which is from that Spider-Man film. Although I have Googled, his other history, but I'm not going to go through 17,000 different iterations. So the one I know is Norman Osborn, the stereotypical lustful businessman. He was born into a pretty wealthy household, and then his father was, I don't know, a bit of an idiot and lost it all. And so Norman was like, well, sod this, I'm going to make my own money, I want to be rich again. So he became an incredibly wealthy and successful businessman. He also had a wife and a son, and then he didn't have a wife anymore because she died.
Oh no.
Yeah, these things happen. I don't know how she died. I didn't read, didn't care. So he ended up becoming incredibly detached, emotionally detached, and even more business orientated, which was one of the things that he was like, oh, I don't want to become like my father, and then he ends up being a dick of a dad to his son, really. I mean, he's not necessarily a dick of a dad, he's just not a very good dad.
He's very absent.
Yes, yeah, he's bad through inaction rather than bad through action.
Yeah, much like his father was to him.
Yes, but I would say the point I was trying to make was he doesn't go around beating up his son. He's just bad through inaction. He's just not a good fatherly figure.
He's neglectful, not abusive.
Yes. So, what is the Green Goblin's business? Well, I mean, I say the Green Goblin. What is old Osborn's business? He has a wealth of business interests, mostly in, well, from the film it was military arms and technology, and also chemicals, and in the comic books it's more chemical and technology based. But essentially, those kind of things, like a drug company, but an evil drug company. I mean, like a pharmaceutical drug company, not like an evil drug company.
It's just showing like advancement of science in any form, really.
Yeah, science advancement, which includes a lot of mechanical arms, technology, weaponry, and chemicals. And Norman has always been I say always, but the drive for his business to succeed. He has undergone many criminal activities to help his company succeed, and indeed, apparently, according to what I've googled, this is fantastic. I love this plan; it's amazing. He became invested in the creation of supervillains to allow his business to go on without being investigated by superheroes. Because, of course, what a plan! I mean, if you don't want superheroes investigating your illegal businesses, do more illegal businesses. I mean, it's more the fact that if there are supervillains running amok, superheroes don't have time to investigate businesses. But anyway,
I get that. I get the theory. I'm going to make other villains do shit to distract them from what I'm doing.
But anyway, at some point in time, he gets one of his underling directors of one of the branches of his companies fired for embezzling money, and he roots through, the articles and all the things that manager/director had found, and discovers notes for something called Goblin serum. And he's like, you know what, fuck it, and just injects it straight into himself, because why not? I mean, it says that it gives super strength. He doesn't just think, what's this unidentified liquid do? So he tests out this serum on himself, because of course, what a plan.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
you don't want to give other people the super strength.
Yeah, absolutely. And he tests it, and it's an incredibly successful serum. It grants him everything that he already had, but even more of it. So it grants him super strength. I'm not saying he was strong before, but he had strength. He was able to lift things. His intellect goes super through the roof. I mean, he was a really smart man before, and now he's like Nad's smart. It's a term. He gets regeneration. Everyone regenerates. It enhances regeneration. You ever cut yourself before? Of course you have. Are you still bleeding? No. Regeneration. It increases. I've written seed, but I meant speed, obviously.
No, it makes him super fertile. He's got really good seed.
He's got really good seed. Enhances his reflexes, endurance.
Makes him really reflective.
That's really reflective. And also, some people might say it's a de-enhancement, but it enhances his mental state, which was already somewhat dubious. So, and I'm unsure whether he becomes bipolar because of the serum, or if he already was somewhat bipolar and it just makes it worse. But he definitely goes insane.
I didn't really think bipolar was necessarily a side effect. I mean, I believe you if you've researched into it, but it was more Well, actually, I don't know so much with Norman. Certainly with when Harry became the Green Goblin, it was much more like multiple personality disorder. It was like him having an inner conflict with like the Goblin voice in his head. I think it did happen with Norman as well.
That's what I've got, and it was described in the comic in what I was reading as bipolar.
Oh,
so
that's not what bipolar is, but okay, that's fine.
Well, I know bipolar is like huge, like swings of mood.
Yeah, it's sort of extreme highs and extreme lows, isn't it?
Yeah,
I believe.
But I mean, it wouldn't be unreasonable to believe that he actually is bipolar.
Oh no, absolutely. I could believe he was bipolar beforehand.
But anyway, yeah, the point was, I'm not really sure whether the serum actually enhanced that or gave him it. But either way, He's pretty insane now.
His mental state is not great either way.
Yes. So after gaining this, strength and intellect and all these other things, he decides to use his powers to kill, maim, or otherwise ruin the days of... and he does this by making a stupid-looking costume if you read the comics, or a badass comic if you watch the first film. Wait, did I say a badass comic? I meant a badass costume.
Never mind. You don't like the purple and green fabric costume?
I think it looks fucking dumb. He looks like a little fucking... You know those little troll toys you get with the hair?
Yeah.
He looks like one of those. It doesn't look... It doesn't look very supervillainy, does it?
He stole his image from the Hobgoblin, who has a similar costume but in yellow and orange, not green and purple.
Yeah, but it doesn't look very badass, does it? Whereas in the film, it looks really badass and evil.
That's because in the film it's metal.
It's not only because it's metal; it's just a better design.
It's a bit more pointy, I suppose.
Yeah, we're giving him the film one because I like it more.
Well, that's
and
fine.
I'm sorry, whoever suggested this, if you prefer the comic one, but you're not here. I'm here.
I have a feeling it was Katie who suggested this.
Oh, Katie? Oh, I'm sorry if you prefer the Green Goblin comic costume, but I prefer the Green Goblin film costume, and so that's what he's wearing. So, what does the Green Goblin have in his arsenal? Well, we've mentioned he has a super sick goblin suit, or super lame if you look at the comics. I mean, in the comics, it's about as protective as a suit with some chainmail in. It does say it's protective, and it can defend it from, punches and kicks and stuff. But the super sick goblin suit from the films is more like a metal armor piece. Very protective. And also apparently has 10,000 volts of wham jam get out of my face packed into his gloves. So, other than, his badass suit looking really, really cool and being made of metal and therefore being fairly protective as, armor goes, what does he come with in terms of weapons and armaments? Well, he has his signature. Oh, it's so signature. If you think Green Goblin and you're not thinking cider, you're thinking glider.
I was thinking glider, but I like the rhyme.
Yeah, it was a good rhyme, wasn't it? It's his Goblin glider. One of the many boons of working in having a kind of military / ultimate technology company is you get super cool flying gliders. He whizzes around on his Goblin glider, which is kind of like a flying sideways surfboard. I use surfboard because he stands on it with both legs either side and it's widthways rather than lengthways. And he can fly around at up to 90 miles an hour on this thing apparently. Woo!
Wow.
It's pretty fast. It's super damn maneuverable, and It comes with hidden lance spikes for killing yourself. I mean, Spider-Man, spoilers. So he loves to fly around on that. But that in itself isn't necessarily, it's a really cool, super cool transport, but it's not going to kill anyone unless you fly into them with it, which, like yourself, because it is remote controlled. So what does he use to maim, kill, or otherwise ruin the days of people? Again, signature. His signature weapons, his razor-sharp, bat-shaped projectiles. Because why a bat? He's not Batman. Why a bat? Why not goblin-shaped? I know goblins aren't sharp.
Goblin wouldn't be very aerodynamic to throw.
No, he wouldn't. But why does he have those? Who cares? He probably does have them. But what people know him for is his grenades. But not just regular grenades. They're not just vanilla grenades that make cakes taste delicious. They're his pumpkin bombs.
The reason they're pumpkins is because he stole them from the Hobgoblin.
He steals a lot of things from the Hobgoblin.
He does. Including his glider, actually. Everything about him.
Wow. Well, copyright. He'll be fine. He'll be fine. He can pay off a lawyer. He loves them. They're orange. They're flaming. They're cool. And he's damn good at lobbing them. And when I say damn good at lobbing them, I don't mean like he can throw them 7,000 meters. I mean, it is said that he rarely misses a throw. So, I mean, I don't know about you, but if I was to, try and throw a tennis ball at you from a range that I can throw a tennis ball, the chances of you not having to move are slim. But this guy, he could just do that all day.
Never mind that, right? The fact that he's also travelling at 90 miles an hour while throwing them.
Yeah, travelling up to 90 miles an hour on a highly manoeuvrable flying hoverboard with spikes on in a giant metal suit of armour, which probably doesn't actually disenhance vision, but looks like it would. And he rarely misses his grenade throws. His pumpkin bombs typically come in 3 different flavours Normally he kind of uses only one flavour, but you've got concussive flavour, which sound shockwave bombs just give people headaches and make people sad. That's not the description the website gave me, but it's what I like.
Yes, I am so evil. I would give everyone a headache and make them sad.
Yeah.
No, stop it, mildly annoying man.
Stop it, mild irritation, boy. Smoke, gas, or other gases. So smoke grenades for, quick escapes. Gases such as neural gases, poisonous gases, other gases, just bad day gases.
Yeah, I can say poison gas, like pumpkins, are sort of something I associate with him.
Yeah, it does also mention he's used like psychotic kind of gas nerve agents, kind of like the Scarecrow? Question mark.
I mean, that is kind of the Scarecrow still, but...
Yeah, cool, I know nothing about superheroes. But then, like, his main ones are his thermal ones, which, I mean, I don't know much about grenades, but most grenades are fragmentation grenades, right? So these are thermal grenades. And here's the lovely piece of information. They're hot enough to melt a piece of steel, or, sheets of steel, up to 3 inches thick. Good lord. That'd
be hot.
That is hot. Oh, also they're silent, or they ignite silently. Not they are silent. So it's not as if you hear like a tss, it's just a oh my god, lots of fire that can melt 3 inches of steel.
Yet, despite that, he tends to not be very stealthy because he's usually flying around laughing at people.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's not very stealthy, but his grenades are stealthy to the point where you would see one flying through the window and you'd be like, "What's that?" And then it would blow up without making a sound.
But my point is, like, you wouldn't be like, "What's that?" You'd be like, "Oh no, it's a bomb that the Green Goblin has thrown," because he's too busy making loads of noise.
Yeah, flying around, cackling.
It seems like a cool but unnecessary feature that his things are silent, because he would never take advantage of that.
So when I say they're silent, I mean all they ignite silently, but then obviously the explosion is still loud.
The explosion's very noisy. I get that. I get what you meant. I'm just saying I think it's a cool feature that is wasted on him.
Yes, it's kind of like firing a silenced rocket launcher.
Yeah.
That's the kind of... Anyway, it doesn't matter. But yeah, the Green Goblin, don't go wrong, he doesn't have much, but what he does have, he does well.
Yes.
And he likes flying around like he's a punk teenager who's bored and also crazy, throwing various types of grenades at people.
Disclaimer, don't give punk bored teenagers gliders and grenades.
Yes, or if you do, make sure they're in a different country where it's legal. It's probably not legal anywhere. As far as his favourite Pokemon is, I don't know, probably a Skarmory or something like that.
Yeah, Skarmory, I can see that. It's a good replacement for his glider.
Yeah, that's or maybe like a Grimmsnarl or a Sableye. Grimmsnarl more than Sableye, I think. I don't know, one of them. Probably a Grimmsnarl riding a Skarmory would be his favourite Pokemon.
Now he'd get too confused and think it was another him and kill it.
Well, and then he'd steal their moves.
Yeah. maybe he likes Ditto.
Maybe he likes Ditto. So he can just continuously look at himself. Oh dear. Anyway, that is the Goblin Greener.
Cool. So now all that's left to do is find out where they're fighting, and we do that by rolling the Die of Death. Okay. So today's fight is going to be taking place in a swimming pool.
No. Oh no. It's such a waste. I love it. All right.
Splish Splash.
I mean, so I know there's two camps of thought here. There's one that is in a swimming pool. The inn fully suggests that you are swimming, and then there's the other camp which suggests that, well, if you say I'm going to the swimming pool, you're normally in like an indoor leisure centre and it's quite open and big and it has a swimming pool in it. Possibly a second swimming pool with a slide.
I wasn't necessarily thinking about slide. I was thinking about a leisure centre sort of thing.
Yes.
But I don't think it would be very open. I think you've got like your pool is sort of 80 to 90% of the room, and then you've got a bit to walk around the outside of said pool.
Yeah, but if you think about it in terms of, essentially it's just a giant empty cube where half the floor is water, except more than half the floor.
Yeah, like I say, I imagine it'd be sort of 80 to 90% sort of thing. But yeah, that is essentially it. Just the majority of...
Yeah, they tend to be quite spacious roof-wise, don't they?
They do tend to have quite a lot of height.
Yeah, so... But we're both thinking the same thing, that they're not restricted to being within the water as long as they are within the premises of the leisure centre swimming pool designated zone area.
Yes.
That's what I think as well, because that's what comes to mind when I think in a swimming pool. Even though,
Can I check one more ruling with you?
I mean, yeah, I mean we make up the rules, so yeah.
So beforehand, we have sort of said that characters aren't allowed vehicles in our fight.
Oh yes.
Now, obviously, with the Goblin glider, does it classify as a vehicle per se? Because he's still like open to the world. You could still easily attack the Goblin from it.
Personally, I think it's fine.
Okay, I feel like it's a sort of big part of him and his character. Because I know when we had, I can't remember her name, but the one from Code Geass, and then she couldn't have her Geass.
Her nightmare. Yes.
But
yeah.
I feel like that's because you can't get to her because when she's inside it.
Yeah, essentially it's to stop people, like, being run over by tanks.
Yeah.
But aside from the vehicle having, quote-unquote call it vehicle, aside from the Green Goblin glider having the weapon on it, like, don't get me wrong, if you got hit with it, it's going to hurt, but it's not going to be like, if you get run over by a tank, or hit by a car, or hit by a lorry, or something, that's pretty GG, and you can't do anything to the person. But I agree with you, because there's easy access, aka he's riding on top of it. I don't feel I feel it would be out of the spirit of the competition to remove it from the Green Goblin in this instance. Obviously, if it was like trying to think of someone who, like, if you picked Falco from Star Fox and he was in a
Star Wing, yeah.
In a Star Wing, that's like way too much.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. I just wanted to clarify and make sure that we had addressed that issue.
I hadn't even thought about that, because in my mind I didn't even really treat it as a vehicle. I can see why it would be treated as a vehicle.
Yeah, but I think it's more of a weapon than a vehicle, other than the fact it can fly.
Yeah. Yeah,
but I mean, he primarily uses it. I mean, I suppose he does use it to get from A to B, which I suppose is what you'd use the vehicle for. But I don't know. He in a combat sense, he uses it for dodging, and it's got grenade launchers on it and spikes on it.
I think it's fine, and if you think it's fine as well, we think it's fine, and it will be fine.
I think it could be argued either way, so I was happy to go with your judgment on it.
Okay.
Doctor Strange, he's a pretty zen guy. You know what might help him relax? And I'm making this up, but he has to be at the location. Water aerobics. That's the thing people do to relax.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, he's there doing his water stretching. All of a sudden, the window behind him smashes, and in comes on his glider the Green Goblin, somehow allowing Doctor Strange to quickly jump out of the pool and put his cloak on.
Well, there's got to be some kind of maniacal and evil exposition.
Exactly. Because I imagine it would be unfair for Doctor Strange to have his cloak, but I don't imagine he'd take it in the pool. But yeah, I feel like he's now rocking the cloak and swimming trunks look.
I mean, there's a lot of people in the audience swooning right now.
I think it's a strong look. I think more people should rock the cloak and swimming trunks.
But just not near planes with jet engines.
Yeah, but they rarely tend to be in swimming pools.
Rarely, yes, rarely.
I'm not going to say it's never happened.
I am. I'm gonna be bold. I'm gonna say it's never happened. Green Goblin bursts in, maniacally laughing, probably immediately throws some kind of grenade. Because don't get me wrong, the Green Goblin's like a chaotic, insane man, but if he's there to kill someone on purpose, I can imagine he doesn't want people interfering.
Well, by pure coincidence, there wasn't anybody else in this pool.
Oh, I was going to say, if there were, the Green Goblin would just throw one of his gassy grenades to disperse the crowds before, hovering above the pool and getting ready to be like, come on, bro, let's go.
I mean, yeah, to be honest, Green Goblin wouldn't care at all about killing anyone who was there.
Yeah, I mean, don't he likes killing people, but there's a difference between... But what I read was that he normally has a reason to kill people. Even if the reason can be something as simple as hate or whatever, he normally has a reason. And he doesn't really have a reason.
But I'm saying if he is trying to kill Doctor Strange and other people happen to die while that's going on, he wouldn't be bothered. I'm like, oh well.
Yeah.
So yeah, okay. So he could definitely come in. If we're going to say it was a crowded pool, I suppose, water aerobics class would be.
Yeah, maybe Doctor Strange was the tutor.
Maybe, yeah. Trying to teach other people how to get Zen.
Yeah.
And then Green Goblin comes in, bam, gas grenade, go. All the people start choking, maybe drowning, who knows.
Choking and drowning.
Yeah.
But not at the same time.
No, swapping one form of choking for another.
Yes.
Is it gassy choking or wet choking? Who knows?
Or what if it's wet gas?
Doctor Strange jump out the pool, grab his cloak, maybe try and usher a few people out to try and save them, and then he would, I reckon, try and fly up and grab Green Goblin, because like I feel like he'd be like this. Firstly, he needs to fly up because he needs to get above the gas, and as Green Goblin just smashed in through a window, gas will be escaping, it'll be okay, but
Yeah.
he needs to get above the gas so he doesn't also choke.
Yeah, Green Goblin at this point is probably just,
Circling.
you know, yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I was going to say. Circling around, probably
Laughing.
like one end or the whole pool, either or.
I imagine the whole pool. He's just doing laps laughing at people choking in gas.
Yes.
Because that's a very sort of maniacal Saturday morning cartoon villain thing to do. What?
It was the way you said Saturday morning cartoon villain.
That's what he is.
He is, yes, but it just made me laugh.
You know, so then out of the gas, in a very heroic manner, Doctor Strange would suddenly fly up and try and either knock the Green Goblin off his glider or land on the glider next to him to begin combat.
I mean, it's not the hugest of gliders. I'm not saying he couldn't land on. Would he not, like, if he's flying up? I mean, so you said either knock him off the glider, or would he like try and grab the glider to, you know, yank it out from underneath the Green Goblin's feet?
No,
per se?
I think it would be easier for him to hit the Green Goblin off the glider than it would be to pull the glider off the Green Goblin.
Okay.
I think. So he would go for the Goblin himself. Like I say, either sort of grabbing hold and being on the glider with him, or just kind of dump tackling him off the glider. The glider could then careen into a wall and explode dramatically, and then they'd have to fight on the floor.
Well, I mean, the glider's also remote control.
Yes, but not if the Green Goblin is being dump tackled out of the sky.
No. I'm just saying I'm not necessarily sure the glider would immediately careen into a wall and explode. It would probably just like flop into the pool.
Okay, I mean that's fine too.
All right, so Green Goblin, he's circling around, laughing his green ass off.
Lamagao.
And that's my Green Goblin laugh.
good.
Thanks. Doctor Strange like bursts out of the cloud like in a diagonal line, and the Green Goblin, he's got reflexes, he's got speed and stuff, but he's
just not expecting it. He's too busy laughing maniacally.
I'm trying to think of someone who's like really on the ball. He's not like super on the ball. Don't get me wrong, he's got good reflexes and stuff, but you know, he takes punches and stuff all the time. He's gonna get knocked clean off that board by...
Yeah, I think it's the sort of thing, if he had been expecting Doctor Strange to suddenly launch out of the like gas at him, he'd have been alright. He's too busy sort of going, haha, I gassed you, to sort of pay attention.
Yeah, so then Doctor Strange comes out, boof, like almost rugby tackle style, if he's going for knocking him off the
Aerial
board.
rugby tackle.
Yeah, knocks him straight off the board, and he falls backwards. The board probably a bit of recoil and just goes like flips a bit into the sky and then just plops somewhere out of sight, out of mind. For now.
That's it. And whereas Doctor Strange and the Green Goblin smash into the deep end of the pool, splashing water everywhere.
Splashing water everywhere. Alright, so if they're in the deep end of the pool, that's not ideal for Mr. Green Goblin, because Mr. Green Goblin is wearing a suit made of metal that is...
Yeah, but he's got the strength to manoeuvre in it. Like,
yeah, there's the strength to manoeuvre in it. I mean, to be fair, he does have the ability to lift 9 tons.
Like, I think he can move in his suit unimpeded. That's sort of the point of the suit.
Yes, no, I'm not saying he can't move in his suit. I'm saying the suit might have an issue staying buoyant in water, which is a very different state. Like,
But I imagine he could swim up, couldn't he? It's like he wouldn't float or anything. Like a person is a bit buoyant, but he could actively swim to the surface.
I mean, I think honestly he would probably more likely to be to walk along the floor or run along the floor and have to jump out rather than... Because it's quite a heavy suit. And I know he's strong, but there's a difference between the strength to lift things up and the ability to kick with your legs to generate the force to swim. Do you know what I mean? Like, they're different strengths. One's a very back and hand muscly, probably enhanced by the suit strength, and the other one is... And his suit is not designed for going underwater. It's not like... Because like Iron Man, if Iron Man went underwater in the drink, I'd be like, yeah, well, Iron Man's suit could just out, because it's a technological thing which is designed for maneuverability. Whereas the Green Goblin, it's designed to fly around, it's designed to propel and be motion, as well as protection and a weapon. But the Green Goblin's one, it's just armor and a costume. It isn't designed to be to help him with his mobility. It is a mobile suit in the sense that he can move around in it, but it's not designed to make him like a shark underwater or whatever. So if they both crash into the end of the deep pool, I don't know whether Doctor Strange is going to let go or stay hold of old Goblin Boy, but Goblin Boy would probably sink to the bottom of the deep end. Now, to be honest, deep ends aren't super deep. They're typically 2 to 3 meters.
Yeah.
So he'd be able to, once he hits the bottom, stand up and probably, he didn't have to either run towards the side to like claw his way up, which would be quite easy because he could just dig his armor straight into the side, which probably isn't a bad idea. Yeah, that's probably what Green Goblin would go for doing. And maybe if he sees Doctor Strange, where's Doctor Strange? Is he got in the water as well, or is he like, because Green Goblin's falling down and got to get himself up and start moving before we can do anything else?
Oh yeah, I think he'd initially dump Green Goblin in the water, but then maybe try to move, because again, he can swim and stuff, but he wouldn't necessarily be the most manoeuvrable in the deep end of the pool, so he'd probably at least move back to where it's a bit shallower.
Alright, okay, so he's got him off his board and he's like, okay, I'll just withdraw for the minute and wait to see where this Green Goblin Boy is, because he's in the deep end of a pool at the minute and I can't really see it.
Yeah, and that's kind of very much Doctor Strange's thing. He's very much uses other people's attacks against him and against them and stuff.
Yeah, more of an
he's very counter-based.
Yeah, rather than he's more defensive than initiative. So Green Goblin, he's like falling to the bottom of his pool. He's bumped his bum. Ow! Just like starts clawing or otherwise smashing his way up the interior wall of the swimming pool, climbing up. Probably can't see Doctor Strange if he's managed to fly above the water. He might have, especially as there's probably remnants of gas still hanging around. Probably not a huge deal, but some, and climbs up near the surface so he can grab like a hand on top. He'll then be able to use his strength to proper launch himself out of the pool in like a vaulting style. So he just goes, and I mean, if possible, he would probably, if he can launch himself high enough, try and use his remote control gliderness to draw his glider back to him so he can be back on his glider, because why would the Green Goblin not be on his glider if he couldn't be, or if he can be even? I can words.
Yeah.
I think then, seeing that the glider is heading back to the Goblin,
It like bursts out the pool as well. So the Green Goblin bursts out and then the glider like slips out in front of him.
I think Doctor Strange would quickly try and make a portal to another dimension in the way of the glider, so the glider gets transported to another dimension.
I love it, and I can totally see that happening. I mean, the glider's fast, but magic, yeah. So the Green Goblin, so the Green Goblin like flings himself up, and like he would have been facing the other way from Doctor Strange, because that's how climbing walls works. So he's like trying to do a really cool launch to land on a thing and skid round and get ready. And he flies up, he calls his glider, and the glider slips out the water. Doctor Strange sees it, goes portal, the glider flies straight through, and the Green Goblin thinks he's about to land on it and just fucking stacks it onto the floor, and like cracks the floor with his metalness and falls over like properly, and he's just like kind of laughing, and then just like looks around to see where, and he doesn't see his glider anywhere, and he's very, very confused, but also sees Doctor Strange across the room. So he probably like tries to program something into his glider to see what's going to happen with it, and is just like looking around in the pool a bit confused because he can't see his glider anywhere.
And then Doctor Strange would probably, in a very sort of whimsical and profound way, explain that the glider's gone to another dimension. Like, your flying device is no longer here. It has been transported beyond the realms to somewhere else.
To Captain Falcon.
Yeah, I've sent it to a former combatant in hopes that he might survive. I do not mean death upon him. He was just annoying me on my hot air balloon ride.
That's very reasonable. And like Green Goblin would be like, "What? No!" And
then Falcon would be like, "Gotta go fast."
And he'd be disappointed that it isn't as fast as the Blue Falcon. But he'd be like, no, and I can imagine him being quite tantrumy, you know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely.
Like, he's just lost his really cool piece of equipment that he loves, and like gives him really quite a good advantage and was his plan for swinging around and causing havoc. So he's probably just got to like get out from his little bag of tricks, trademark. Don't know if that is trademarked, it probably is. And he's just probably going to start lobbing real grenades as best as he can. So he's got good strength, he's got good throwing ability. I don't see there's any reason he can't throw a grenade from where he is over to Doctor Strange. And of course, he's probably a bit annoyed and he wants to kill anyway. So I think 4-play is out the question. He's just going to go straight for... Not that kind of 4-play, like fighting 4-play.
I know.
He's just going to go straight for incendiary, jack-o'-lantern, Halloween bombs. What are they called again?
Pumpkin bombs.
Pumpkin bombs.
Yeah. Well, I think, especially from the fact that I know he's not in like deep water, but he's probably in about waist high water in the side. Doctor Strange will probably be hit by at least the first one of these.
Yeah.
You know, and then also the water's going to get really hot, right? I mean, if these things explode with enough heat to melt steel, are they going to start boiling the swimming pool?
I mean, so it's interesting. When I read that, obviously an explosion is a big ball of, it covers a large area. I don't imagine that that you'd be able to melt steel at all of those ranges. It's probably like if it blew up next to or very close to some steel, it could melt through a 3-inch plate. And don't get me wrong, the Green Goblin's got good aim, but it's just that his grenades always hit the mark. I don't imagine it would have exploded exactly in his face. Often they explode near the people and they do damage. There's a difference between hitting someone with a grenade and hitting someone with a grenade.
I'm not suggesting that he's insta-killed.
No, yeah.
Doctor Strange. I was just wondering, like I say, if the water will start heating, boiling.
I wouldn't... I mean, it's a big swimming pool. Water is notoriously difficult to heat.
Okay.
I mean, think how long it takes to boil a pan of water. I think there'd probably be some local increase, but I don't... And maybe some of the top layer, like, evaporates. But I think it's more of a local evaporation than a global swimming pool temperature increase.
Okay, that's fine. Just checking. Because obviously, if it became like a boiling swimming pool, that would be a somewhat bigger hazard.
Yes, but I don't think it's going to... I really don't think... Even if he used like 30 of them, I don't think it's going to make the swimming pool become a boiling inferno.
Okay, that's fine. Alright. Well, I think like Doctor Strange would be a bit injured, a bit singed.
I mean, he'd probably get blown somewhat over as well. Because they're still going to have some force to them. Some throwback force.
That's it. He gets pushed, sort of thrown back into the shallow end. He probably like bangs himself against the floor.
Oh, that's a sure way to drown.
What?
If you're a child.
What, getting grenaded into the shallow end?
Yes. How did he drown? Well, he got hit by a grenade from the Green Goblin, sent flying, banged his head in the shallow end of a swimming pool, and then drowned. It's how he would have wanted to go.
I mean, it's a pretty cool way to go.
I mean, there are worse ways to go.
Like being force-fed butter until your arteries explode.
I mean, I'm not sure your arteries would explode. But not from the butter feeding, but yes. Anyway.
Okay, so then Doctor Strange is going to try and like pick himself up, and he's like, right, well, I need to close the gap between...
I mean, you say close the gap. What's his nugget would be running towards Doctor Strange anyway, readying more grenades to throw.
I didn't know if he'd be just keeping his distance, throwing pumpkins.
No, because he's quite a madman. Don't get me wrong, he's very book smart, but he doesn't really know much about Doctor Strange. As in, he doesn't know anything about Doctor Strange.
Probably knows a bit. I imagine it would be. I'd be surprised if they've not met before.
Well, maybe, but I mean, he needs to be in a range where he can get in with grenades. So he might not be running to go into close combat with, but he needs to be running to a probably some way up the pool so he can actually throw grenades at him.
Is he running round the pool or through the pool?
Oh, round the pool. There's no reason for him to run through the pool. That would just be stupid for him to do.
Oh man, I can't believe he's running round the pool. I thought he was bad before, but that is evil.
Yes. Smoke bombs to get everyone out the pool is one thing, but
running
round the pool strictly against the terms and conditions of your entry ticket, which he didn't buy.
Right, like there'll be a sign up saying no running. I bet there isn't a sign saying no poisonous gas bomb.
Yeah.
Next thing you're going to tell me he shouted in a library.
I mean, he probably has at some point in his life, but not today.
Devious. He did that on the way over. I need to go to the library quick. Ah! Okay.
just sailed through, didn't even break any windows or something, just cackled, returned a book straight directly back onto the shelf.
I bet he didn't even put it on the shelf. I bet he just dropped it on the floor.
I mean, arguably that's better than putting it on a shelf, because he'd put it on the wrong shelf.
Oh, well, that's fine. Yeah. Take that, Dewey.
But yes, he'll be running down the pool, so at least he can lob grenades comfortably at Doctor Strange.
Okay, I think Doctor Strange will try and fly towards him, because Doctor Strange does need to get into close combat. He doesn't have like a projectile attack, so to speak. So I think he will, dodging round pumpkin bombs, like using the fact that he can fly. Like he'll fly quick, because flying is quicker than running, I assume.
Yeah, I would have.
So he'll fly towards Green Goblin, maybe conjuring up some sort of weapon on the way, like a axe or something, because he can do that.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So he'll be flying, dodging pumpkin bombs. He'll make an axe appear, a magical axe, and then he'll take a swing, a flying swing at the Green Goblin, presuming he can get close enough without being pumped.
As you say, he's like flying towards, and Green Goblin's probably thrown off a couple of bombs, which maybe, you know, just maybe scathe him a little bit rather than a full-blown thing. But noticing that Doctor Strange is coming into close quarters and the Green Goblin's in a fairly substantial suit of armour, he'd probably like throw one, not with aim to actually hit Doctor Strange where he is, but just, you know, thinking, coming at me, are you? Throw one in front of him to some degree, and then make, you know, the smallest amount of retreat that he really needs to make, you know, a couple of steps back, a leap back or whatever. So it would go off kind of like in between them, hoping that Doctor Strange would fly into it. Obviously, this is before Doctor Strange reaches Goblin Boy. Goblin Boy. I know that's not his name, but I like pissing off people who really like their characters.
Doctor Strange would definitely be hit by the explosion.
Yeah.
Possibly, he would come through the explosion, taking much damage, but still hitting Green Goblin.
Yeah, I mean, like, he's
because of momentum and the such.
The thing is, like, Doctor Strange he's got pretty good reflexes and stuff. He would probably be.
I mean, he doesn't. Nowhere in his powers that I found does it say he has improved reflexes.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
So I mean, he probably has good reflexes compared to a human.
Okay, fair enough.
But not like compared to a superhero.
All right, okay. Well, yeah. So then, in which case, he probably gets caught by the explosion somewhat. Probably a decent amount, as you say, but probably still comes through with the momentum of his strike still going. Green Goblin would have taken a couple of steps back or something. So probably the first... If you said he summoned an axe, I think you said. Axes are very sweepy. You know, it's like a strike weapon. There's a good word that I can't think of what it is. His first strike would probably miss coming through because Green Goblin's now taken a step back. Or two. Mm-hmm. But now he's like a little bit injured. Green Goblin, he probably can't grenade again from super close. His preferred method of combat is not going to be close combat, but it's not as if he's averse to it.
Yeah.
Especially when he's annoyed at someone for zapping his Goblin glider out of existence. And especially if he can visibly see that his explosion has hit Doctor Strange and he's from the downswing of an axe, it's not as if right now at this very instant he would be super endangered by going for a punch or a kick or something. So I think Green Goblin would probably go in for a punch with his sooty boy armour. Oh, and he has the fucking 10,000 volt zaps in his fists as well. Yes. Considering
he has just been exploded somewhat, then Doctor Strange will probably be hit by the 10,000 volt punch.
Oh, I don't think he's going to... Sorry, if I didn't make that clear. I don't think he's going to use his volts straight away. They're more like he would just go for a punch. But he'd in his mind know that he can use his volts from his fists if he needs to.
Okay. Well, yeah, okay. Well, I think his punch will work. It will probably knock Doctor Strange out the sky. Because Doctor Strange's flown in, being exploded, kind of gone through the explosion because of momentum, tried to swing an axe, but instead been, like, punched out the sky. He's probably feeling quite worse for wear now because he's taken 2 explosions, one of them quite head on. He's probably not doing very well. So I assume he's sort of on the floor by Green Goblin. Green Goblin's going to make a move.
Yeah, so, I mean, if he falls back out the sky onto the floor, if Green Goblin's already done a punch 1, he'd probably go... If he feels he's got the upper hand at the minute, because he's quite a psychotic, crazy character, he's not necessarily the kind of person who would go for the, like, coup de grace. Why do that when you could do something cool and fun? You know what I mean? So he would probably go to No, I'm just going to describe what he wants to do, but obviously it's going to take time for him to do this. So Doctor Strange is obviously going to be able to react, but he's probably going to go try to grab him and pick him up off the floor, somehow sneak a grenade onto his person, and then punch him away. So, throw him into the water or something along those lines. Yeah, throwing him into the water. That's cooler. His aim is to either walk or strut over gloatingly. Probably strut over gloatingly, to be honest. He's quite a...
I don't know if he really needs to strut over gloatingly. I think Doctor Strange would be somewhat...
Yeah, he's not very far away. But my point was, it's not an urgent walk.
No. It's very much a villain walk.
Yes, a villain walk. A slow villain walk. The times when they die. Walk over, plant a grenade on Doctor Strange's person, and then throw him into the pool. That is his plan.
Okay. I think because Green Goblin is taking time rather than just killing him quickly, Doctor Strange would probably be, whilst on the floor, a moment away from death, be trying to cast some sort of healing spell. I feel like that's a worthy thing at this point.
Yeah.
So I imagine it would be like Green Goblin would walk over, stick the pumpkin bomb to him, pick him up, and then sort of throw him. But before he hits the water, he'd be able to dramatically detach the pumpkin bomb and fly back, so then it explodes between them.
Oh yeah, so he's I don't know how he does his spells. Like if he does has hand movements or mutterings, or he just kind of
a combination of the two,
Zen focuses. But he's doing some stuff.
Bit of all
as you say, the Green Goblin walks over and grapples him up and slips in a bomb and goes to lob him into the water. And as he lobs him, and Doctor Strange gets the speed from that, his smile he just gets a whimsical smile as he just busts backwards a bit, and the bomb just drops below the surface of the water a little bit and explodes, causing a huge between the two.
Yes, that's exactly what I was envisioning.
Lovely. I'm glad we have the same vision. At which point the Green Goblin's going to go back into you bugger mode.
Yeah, he's going to get really upset about it.
He's going to be really upset. How far away is Doctor Strange at this point? Is he within rugby tackling distance?
No, probably not.
No, that's fine.
So it had to be he's probably most of the pool away. So what's the width of a pool? 1.5 meters, 2 meters?
The width of a pool, 1.5 to 2 meters. You kidding me? They're 15 meters wide.
Oh. Chris doesn't know things. Yes.
You can just lie across the width of a swimming pool.
Yeah, quite you. Yes, I didn't really think of that through. But yeah, okay, so it's about 15 meters. So he's probably about 10 meters away.
Oh, okay, yeah. So that's
hovering over a bit of the pool.
All I was thinking was if he was within a distance where Green Goblin could literally just launch himself and grab him and try and drag them both to the bottom of the swimming pool, he would totally do that. But if they're not, then he won't, because he won't be able to do that. So Green Goblin's got to just try throwing more grenades again.
Okay, so this is my idea.
I think I know what this idea is, and I think I love it already.
All right.
I'm going to whisper it in
Doctor
chat.
Strange.
You carry on.
Doctor Strange is going to be like, well, I can't fight him at long range because he's better, and I can't fight him at close range because he's better. I feel like what he'd do be like, right, if I make a portal to another dimension and catch a grenade in it, but then make another portal from that dimension back to this dimension behind the Green Goblin, essentially making him throw a grenade through transient properties of portal dimension travel into the back of his own head.
Yeah, and for the record, this is exactly what I just typed to CK.
I feel like, though, the only thing that would make this difficult is I believe he would have to do it, he would have to make the portal to the other dimension behind him, travel through that portal, so as the grenade follows him through, he can then, from that dimension, make a portal back to our dimension, and then dodge out the way of the grenade. And I'm sure he can do all this. I'm just saying, this would be the mechanics of it.
Yeah.
Then then dodge out the way of the grenade, make the other portal. The grenade then flies through, hits Green Goblin in the back, blowing him up. Doctor Strange then comes through the portal behind him, catching him out of the explosion and slamming him down into the swimming pool, and in a really heroic movement.
Yeah. So Green Goblin, he gets out a hand, probably a couple of grenades ready to throw, and he's like, "All right, fly boy," or whatever, and just like, it's like handless, lobs the grenades. Doctor Strange wicks up the fantastically beautiful, I might add, orange portal. The grenade flies through. Doctor Strange goes through, and Green Goblin just like has like a moment to have a kind of like of what before. As you mentioned in the transient dimension, another portal opens up behind him, and he just feels a thunk in the back of his head before an explosion, which he recognises very familiarly as one of his own pumpkin bombs, blasts him pretty much like, in the back of the face, doing severe damage to his armour and launching him across the pool zone to above the water, where Doctor Strange comes flying and carrying on with the momentum, then like slams him down into the bottom of the pool.
Yeah, where if he's not dead already, will probably drown.
I mean, I don't think he would be fully dead from just his thing, but if he then gets slammed, to under the water, it's not as if his suit gives him environmental protection or anything, and he's going to have some severe...
I mean, I believe his suit has a gas mask built in, but yeah, I don't think it would give him any water protection.
Gas masks are very different from water protection,
Yeah.
Ooh, as we've already discussed, the armour is quite weighty, and if he's going to be fairly disorientated from the force of the own explosion, as point blank as it can get, to the back of his armour, which some of will be destroyed. Is Doctor Strange going to be supervising his submission?
Yeah, I imagine he'd sort of stay just above the water surface, and then sort of be like, if the goblin starts to move, he can then do another attack if needs be.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if the Green Goblin manages to kind of like stumble up once on the... But this is fairly in the middle end of the pool now.
Yeah, sort of about a metre deep. Maybe.
Yeah, so you'd be able to, especially the Green Goblin, he's not short. He would stand up and his head would be above, but where part of his armour at the back of his head is now gone, that would be very exposed for Doctor Strange to land
an axe.
But I wasn't even thinking of an axe, I was just thinking of a punch, but yeah, I mean the axe. I didn't even think about the axe.
He can make himself a new axe or a new sword or something.
Yeah.
Swing it down the back of his head.
Yeah, and even if that doesn't outright kill, because there's probably going to be some protection from some of the armour still, it's going to do enough damage to knock him out cold, or put him to a point where he then just flops into the pool and silently drowns.
I mean, I sort of said that too, but actually thinking about it, I think we're at this point now where Doctor Strange has won the fight, but I don't think Doctor Strange being a good guy and the Green Goblin not being like yes, obviously he's bad, but he's not like a global threat sort of villain. I don't think he'd be left to drown. I think the Green Goblin would probably put him in a prison or something,
All right, so I mean, if that's the case, if he conjures up an axe, he'd probably use the back end of the axe.
Yeah, the axe is probably a bit overkill.
Well, I feel like a blunt, the back end of a blunt axe, because then if you whack him, half of it you're going to catch on unprotected, and half it's going to be protected, so it isn't going to kill, but it will knock him out.
Yeah, that's it. And then Doctor Strange will be like, right, hand him over to the authorities in a reasonable way that has concluded this fight.
In the reasonable way being send him through a portal.
Yeah. Oh yeah, to like some maximum security prison and such. You know how like superheroes always put their villains in prison so they can return another time.
Yes.
Like that.
But yes, I feel that would be the end of that bout.
And everyone would be like, oh man, I think Green Goblin deserved to win that. And he kind of did, but then he was being, like showboaty because he's a madman.
I mean, I had thought that Doctor Strange would win that anyway, to be honest, because Doctor Strange has got a lot of magic stuff.
I mean, I did too, but as it played out, he very almost didn't.
Yeah, that's very true.
Had Green Goblin... You see, I think if Green Goblin had been able to do a lethal blow in the throes of combat, he definitely would have. It was the fact that he had an injured foe on the floor that he then felt the need to do a showboaty thing.
Yeah, which I think we both agree he definitely... That is within his character to do. Yeah.
But had he just sort of, stabbed him while he was down or whatever, like that would have been the end of Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
But because he was given time, he was able to do like some healing magic, and
he could have easily just like dropped a grenade onto him.
Yeah, he could have definitely killed him.
You know, like run up to him, stunned him, dropped a grenade, and fleed. That would have been the like super smart thing to do. But that's not very Green Goblin-y to do. Green Goblin was definitely all about throwing him into a pool and then making him explode.
Yeah. So that's our fight. Doctor Strange gets his mash.
He does.
He's gonna go home for a potatoey dinner.
You can boil it in the swimming pool.
I mean, it's really hard. It takes a long time.
Yeah, it does, and it would taste of chlorine and
It would.
other things. It would be quite frankly awful. Do not make your mashed potato by boiling potatoes in a swimming pool.
No, especially not when the swimming pool is in use.
Yes.
But yeah, I think obviously it's worth saying again. Thank you to Katie for suggesting the Green Goblin, and thank you to Steve for suggesting Doctor Strange. I think that's the first time we've had two fan-suggested characters fight each other.
I'm not entirely convinced, but I could be wrong.
It might not have been. It certainly doesn't happen very often.
All right, so this week we had Green Goblin. This character is from, I believe it was originally a series of books.
Ooh.
I believe, which were now made into a very popular series of games, and also into a I think it was very popular, but I'm not sure how successful it was. Television series.
Interesting.
The main character from that therein is this boy man.
Boy man.
Also, he's kind of gruff.
I mean, I don't know who it is.
That's because it's quite vague.
I can't think of any books that were made into games and a TV show.
Oh, really? Oh, I think you're about to learn something.
Why, is it a game and or TV show I know?
You definitely know the game.
Okay.
And you definitely know the show exists.
Okay. Interesting.
I'll tell you after we're done.
Interesting. No, it's fine. I'm happy to wait.
Oh, okay. I'll let you wait in suspense then.
Yeah. So that was our episode.
It was.
Obviously, you can feel free to contact us and tell us how you thought that fight would have gone. If you think the Green Goblin would have beat Doctor Strange in the swimming pool, then let us know. You can contact us over on the Twitter at podcastmmm, or you can email us at podcastmmm@tinkertailorsoldiersponge.com. Those are the ways to contact us. Thank you for listening, and if you have any thoughts on who Wade's character for next time will be, feel free to let us know that too. And obviously, if you have any suggestions for future characters or arenas for the fights to take place in, if you think a swimming pool was a ridiculous and preposterous suggestion, then do better than me and suggest your own thing. What?
I was just laughing at that. It's funny.
Yeah, so that's that then. Feel free to comment with anything else that you'd like to. If you just want to get in touch and say, hey, how's things? Or if you want to get in touch and, tell us things that we should know, do that too. We like it when people get involved. And also, I haven't said this in a while, but feel free to tell people you know about this podcast and, spread the word and get more people to listen to it, because then we'd get more fan suggestions from a variety of sources, which would be all really interesting and such. So, but, I know what you're really looking forward to at this point is for me to stop rambling and go, Mr. Wade, any final thoughts?
Oh, God. Think of something. I'm moving house shortly. That'll be fun.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It'll be exciting.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Damn it, I didn't plan ahead as well. Also, it's Mr. Wade's birthday soon, so if you want to send any nice birthday messages, then do that. Although he'll have had his birthday by the time this episode came out.
Yeah.
But he'd do it anyway.
Yeah.
I didn't plan. I should have said last episode, and I didn't think.
Well, I mean, I don't blame you. Last episode we recorded like 7 weeks ago.
I don't know if it was that long.
It definitely
was
wasn't that long ago, but it was a while.
It was about a month ago.
Yeah.
We sort of we're a bit behind on our recording at the moment. But never mind. Maybe we'll have to do one next week or something, so we have a backlog again.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah. So yeah, you're moving house. That's exciting.
It is. Got a lot of things to pack.
Yep.
I mean, it's come at quite a nice time, really, because I just finished doing the coding job I was doing. I say job, like a project I was doing, and I've kind of just been a bit lost for things to do because I just found I needed a project. So I've just been playing games and doing fuck all, which is fine. Like, I don't mind doing that, but it just doesn't feel as you don't feel like you've done anything. It just makes you feel a bit blah.
Yeah.
Doing the same thing over and over. So my dad's probably going to come and like take me back to his for a couple of days on Sunday until Wednesday. So then I could just fuck around until then, and I won't feel bad because it's not for very long. And then I'll be with Dad, and then when I come back, it'll be packing and moving. So, like, happy days.
Yeah, it's exciting.
I'm really hungry.
Cool. Yeah, well, we're done now. You can go get some food.
Yay!
All right, bye everybody.
Catch your lates.
Join Mike and Tom for nerdy conversation with a multitude of guests on Hat of Many Things.
Say hi, guys.
Hi guys.
Hello. I'm Mark, a librarian and professional wrestling ring announcer.
I cast League of Legends.
Soteros Filbricato, best known for my work with White Wolf and Onyx Path Publishing on the World of Darkness.
Hi, I'm Jason Carl. I'm the producer of V5 at White Wolf.
Yeah, my name is Johanna Pettersson, a Finnish game designer.